Welcome to the Stock Guy Analysis. Have you ever seen a company's stock price just fall? Even when its most important assets are actually getting stronger. Well, that's exactly the weird situation that just happened with a company called BMNR, which, by the way, hold a ton of Ethereum. This week, something really strange happened that created an opportunity we just have to break down. So, let's get right into it. So, here's the big puzzle we're going to try to solve today. How on earth does a company's asset sheet look better than ever, but at the same time, its stock is getting totally hammered? It doesn't make a lot of sense, right? This contradiction is where we start. We're going to follow the money, look at the data, and see if we can spot what the rest of the market might be missing. You know, our story really kicks off with this tale of 2 days. Seriously, on one day, the market was absolutely loving this stock. The very next day, total fear. And these two signals coming just 24 hours apart created a real head-scratcher for anyone watching. I mean, you could just feel the whiplash here, can't you? On Monday, Ethereum is rallying and BMNR stock is right there with it. Everything's great. But then boom, Tuesday hits and it's a complete 180. The stock sells off, dropping a whole 7% to close below $30 a share. So what happened? What changed overnight? Okay, this is where we have to put on our detective hats and dig a little deeper. To really get what's behind that sudden drop, we've got to look past the flashy stock price and get into the company's books. The numbers are going to tell us a story and probably show us what spooked everybody, right? So, every big market move has a reason, or at least a story people tell themselves. So, let's start with a bear case. What was the piece of information that made so many investors hit that sell button? And here it is. This is the potential red flag. Now, to be clear, BMR's total pile of Ethereum is still going up. But, and this is a big but, the rate at which they're buying new ETH has slowed down. The amount they added this quarter was less than before. And for some investors, any sign of slowing growth is a huge warning sign. But see, if you only look at that slowing growth rate, you miss the biggest part of the picture. You miss the one thing that the market, in its panic, seems to have completely overlooked. Just look at this number for a second. $800 million. BMNR is sitting on $800 million in cash. That's not just a lot of cash. It's the biggest cash pile they have ever had in the history of the company. That is a massive war chest. And well, it kind of changes everything. And this is where the math gets really, really interesting. Okay. So their Ethereum is worth about $10.75 billion. You add that $800 million in cash, and you get a total asset value of $11.55 billion. But wait, the company's entire market cap, what you pay to buy the whole thing, is only $11.1 billion. Let that sink in. The stuff the company owns is worth more than the company's stock price. You know, there's a quote from a source material that just nails this whole idea perfectly. It's like asking, don't you like to buy cash for less cash? If all the company's assets, including the huge pile of cash, are worth more than its stock price, you're essentially getting a discount. It's a pretty powerful idea. All right, so we've established that BMNR stock seems to be on sale. But here's the thing. A discount on a sinking ship is no bargain, right? So this is only half the puzzle. The other half is the main asset here, Ethereum, actually a good bet for the future? So let's take a look. This really is the key question. A discount is only as good as the thing you're buying. So we have to ask, does Ethereum itself have a strong future? Let's check out the data and see what major events are coming up that could really move the needle. Okay, now this chart shows something fascinating. If you just look at the headlines, you might think the stablecoin market is shrinking. But underneath the surface, money is actually flowing into Ethereum. In just the last 30 days, a net $4 billion in stablecoins moved onto the Ethereum network. Meanwhile, other big chains are seeing money flow out. That's a huge vote of confidence. And it's not just that. There's a whole wave of good news on the horizon. Coinbase is launching a new borrow feature, adding more utility to holding ETH. Cash App is bringing stablecoins to its 58 million users. That's huge. We've got the Fusaka upgrade coming on December 3rd, which means lower fees and a better experience. And then there's the big one, the Clarity Act. If that brings real regulatory certainty in the US, that could unlock so much. It's a really strong lineup of positive events. So after all that, let's pull it all together. What's the big picture here? What's the main takeaway for anyone trying to make sense of this? It really just boils down to a simple three-step story. First, the market kind of panicked and sold off because it was laser focused on one single metric, slowing ETH purchases. Second, that panic caused everyone to ignore a record-breaking cash pile, which created this weird discount. And third, the main asset at the center of all this, Ethereum, has a really, really bullish future ahead of it. You know, this whole idea we've been talking about, it actually has a name. It's called Market Net Asset Value, or MNAV. It's just a fancy way of saying what's all the stuff a company owns actually worth. And in BMNR's case, their stock price fell below their MNA. That is the discount. And that's really the key to understanding this entire situation. And so that brings us to the final question, the one that really matters. When you consider the record amount of cash they have, the strong outlook for Ethereum, and the fact that the company's assets are literally worth more than its stock price, you just have to ask yourself, is the market's short-term panic causing it to miss the much bigger, much more valuable picture here? That's definitely something to think about. Thank you for watching. And stay tuned for latest update on crypto and stocks.